In this video, we are going to be using OAuth to log in to Spotify, giving us access to the Spotify data of the logged in user and allowing us to pull that into our application.
You're watching Dev Tips with guest hosts
MPJ
and David. In the last video, we set up some data, fake data. We've done that in a couple of videos, and now we want to set up actual sign in with Spotify.
Yeah, so we want to pull the actual data from Spotify. And to do that, we are going to be using something called OAuth. The way OAuth works is a little bit funky because it needs to be secure, and in order to do that, it has to go back and forth a bunch of times, and it's tricky, but we need it in order to not leak the credentials.
So the React app that we are building, the Better Playlist apps, needs a token to fetch data from Spotify. And
What is a token?
a special code
Yeah.
that has been generated that is valid for a couple of minutes, 30 minutes or so.
All right, so it's like a temporary key.
Yeah, a
temporary
key or code. And to get that, first the user has to go to a backend server which has an understanding with Spotify already. So we would have to create sort of like an account or an app at Spotify.
Yep.
And then we have to create a backend server.
Yep.
And have that working. And then our actual React app will take the data that our backend server is returning if everything goes fine with the signing in.
Exact.
It sounds complicated. It is a bit complicated, but I think we will just hit it off, start building it, and you will get it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Spotify and create the understanding between our server and Spotify. Developer.
All right, cool.
Cool. My apps. Sign in. So you have to be a Spotify user to create one of these apps. So I'm signing. Oh, I have authenticated with Facebook.
Oh, you were already.
Yeah, let's sign in. Let's create an app.
Right.
It's called Better Playlists. And let's give a description. So when people are trying to sign in, they will understand what is the purpose of this. This will give you a nice Spotify overview.
Well, that's good.
So here we are. We have the application, and these are the important parts. What is this client ID and what is this client secret?
Okay, so client ID is sort of the this is sort of like the username and password for the application that we created. Client ID is something that is shared between our front end and back end, and that is fair game. There's nothing secret about that. But the client secret is what our backend service will use to negotiate with Spotify in order to get the credentials.
Okay, so Spotify will only trust the request if it's given with this secret.
Precisely. And that is why it's so extremely important that this is actually why we need the backend, because it needs to be protected inside the backend and not be leaked to the client.
Because if we were to build this on the client side, anyone could sort of like inspect the code and find these, and then they would use them to do bad stuff in our name.
Precisely. In this series, we are trying to create things from scratch as much as possible, but within realistic boundaries. For instance, we chose to use Create React App in order to not spend too much time setting up the boilerplate of that thing and actually get to building things. So if there existed a thing such as a Create React App for OAuth, we would have used that, but it didn't exist, so I built it like 10 minutes ago and put it online, and we're gonna try to use that. So I created a template for a backend service that provides this authentication flow for us. It's at mpj.auth bridge template.
Okay, so let's clone this.
Yep.
Your thing. Git clone. we can call this Better Playlists Backend.
All right, that's good.
Let's enter this backend and do npm install, I guess.
Yep.
And then we probably have to open the server. Let's open this in our code editor to see what it looks like. So there's not much here. The only thing that is interesting is this server. It's server.js. Well, do I even have to look?
You don't really have to touch this because there's no magic in it or anything.
Because I don't have to run this locally, right? Can we just deploy it instantly?
We can run it locally. Well, but let's start by running it locally. Otherwise, we will we have to redeploy to Heroku every time we make a mistake.
Yeah, that sucks. So I have to export the client ID, and I get the client ID from here. So export, what am I doing here?
Yeah, exactly. The export command, this is not Node.js or specific to this application. Exporting variables like this is part of the command line in the terminal, or the shell environment as it's called. So what this does is that it sets these as variables in the current terminal session. So if you, for instance, wrote echo and then Spotify's client ID, that wouldn't work. You need to have a $sign as well. So now this is available in this specific session, and it's also available to software running in this session as well. So it's kind of like configuring.
So we're tying it to the machine because you don't want to have it here in the code for everyone to see. You just want to have it on that machine that will be running this software.
Exactly. So since these are secrets, you never want to commit secrets to your Git repository. Because if the Git repository is breached by a hacker, it's very good if they just get your code and not your secrets as well, because that means that they can do enormous amounts of damage. Just the code is not, it's damaging, but it's not that bad.
Okay, let's start it.
Cool. Did that work?
Go to login to authenticate. So here it says I should go to this page. Let's go there. Invalid client. Valid redirect URI. All right. I know with this.
All right,
because I saw that here.
Yeah.
But what is this? What is the redirect URI?
All right. So redirect URI is when we talked about this a little bit before. It's when you send the user off to log in at Spotify.
Because we can see here that the user has been sent to accounts.spotify.com, authorized and blah blah blah. But Spotify tells us that this is bad.
Exactly.
You're trying with something that hasn't done everything.
Precisely. And this, if we go back to the client, we can actually look at the server code for a bit. You don't have to get all of this. I'm just trying to give you a sense of how this thing ties together. It's completely okay if you don't get half of the details. That feeling is normal.
So we serve to this, the /login.
Yes. And what happened is that immediately the backend is redirecting to accounts.spotify.com/authorized.
With all these query strings.
Yes.
And they are the ones that we see here.
Yep.
These are the query strings.
Precisely. And it also sends a redirect URI. And that is a variable, and you see it there on line 7. And it's that one. It's redirecting to itself, but /callback. The thing is that we have to tell Spotify beforehand that this callback URI is okay. There are complex security reasons for this, but if we don't, it means hackers have it easier.
So we'll just paste it there, add it.
And this is such a bad UI. that you have to scroll down and save. but you have, so add it and then scroll down and save. And now,
try it again.
Cool.
Boom.
All right, so now we are on Spotify and it's asking us to connect better playlists to your Spotify account.
Yeah, but we didn't go to spotify.com. We went to our local server, which redirected us to Spotify's sign-in page.
Exactly.
And because all the credentials are okay, the secret ID and the ID and secret, everything is looking good here.
Yeah.
And we can click here to see what kind of data Spotify would like to get from us.
Yeah.
Or actually what kind of data the app would like to get from Spotify about us.
Yes.
Public information, my subscription details, and my email address.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. And it's loading.
And it's loading. And here it redirected to localhost our other server, the React server.
Yeah. Our React development server.
A React development server. And we had specified that here somewhere, right? Or did we?
No.
Or did it know that it was supposed to go there?
I hard-coded that. Okay. It assumes that you are running a React development server.
Oh, that's awesome. But what we see here is that it's sending this access token. So this is what we would have to use to start actually fetching data.
Exactly. Right? So what we are going to do in the next episode is to grab that from the URI using JavaScript and use that to fetch things from the Spotify API, playlists and stuff.
Okay, so that's in the next video. Now we would have to build to deploy this server here to Heroku.
Exactly, because we want, in order to use it, we have shown how to deploy our React frontend to Heroku, and now we are going to deploy another Heroku app, which is the backend. And we're going to deploy that separately.
Okay, so then I could just follow your tutorial.
I think so, yeah. I wrote the commands in the tutorial. But it's basically what we already did.
Heroku create my... Okay, so first we have to create a new Heroku app.
Just like we did with the... back in the episode where we put it into production, the create React app.
Let's run Heroku, see if we signed in.
We are?
Yep. Heroku create better playlists backend.
Excellent. Cool, that works.
And then we should run these.
Exactly. So these commands here, they are the same as the export commands, but on Heroku.
Okay, so it's setting the variable on Heroku.
Yeah, so that sticks there. And again, the reason why we just don't write them in the code is for security purposes. So this is the secure way of doing it. Exactly, so we copy the client ID, set that. And then we do the same with the client secret.
Redirect.
Two variables that we don't set locally because when I wrote this template, I can assume that you are using a React app locally, and I know also that you're running on localhost 88888. However, I can't know what name you chose for your Heroku app.
So this will be the React app that we have pushed to the production server.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like... Sorry. Redirect URI, HTTP.
So you can copy paste it from up there. But you also need to add /callback. And just to give you a sense of why you need to do that, if we jump back to the code. There on line 21. See that the backend server has this endpoint called /callback, which is the one that is receiving the redirect back from Spotify, which receives a code, which is then uses along with the secret to grab the access token, and then it takes that access token and sends it off to our front end.
All right, and then we have to do the front end URI. What is...
So front end URI is like not the backend. It's where our React app is hosted in production, which is the betterplaylist.herokuapp.com, I think.
Oh, it has to spin up.
Yeah. This is one of the disadvantages of using the free version of Heroku. Your app goes to sleep if it's not used for a while. So it takes a little bit of time to spin up.
So here it is. So we can just use this. Do we have to add something to that, or is that just...
No, we don't need to add anything to that.
So this is when I'm signed in and Spotify has approved the app credentials, and I have approved as a user that the app can use the Spotify data. The Spotify site sends me back to the actual React app, and this is the app.
Yeah, that's almost right.
Man.
No, it's right, except that you're forgetting that it's our backend that actually sends us to the front end.
Oh yeah, because it sends back. Okay.
Exactly, because it's only the backend that is allowed to get the access token. So when it has received the access token, it just adds it on to the end of the front end URI and sends the user there.
If I go to Better Playlist backend /login,
yes,
this will work.
Yes.
Okay.
I say that with great confidence.
So we're going to Better Playlist backend.herokuapp.com /login.
Yes.
It was HTTPS.
Yes. Did not work. Did we deploy it? No, we have not deployed it though.
We haven't deployed it.
We need to actually push it.
Oh yeah, so we're going to...
Oh, we actually need to...
commit stuff.
Yes, but this is not a Git repository yet.
Well, perhaps it is when we created it.
It is?
Yeah, it has Heroku.
Oh.
So it did the Heroku command did that for us. So we can... Perhaps we should just push it... Perhaps we should commit this to your thing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so let's check what...
No, we haven't changed anything in the code. All we have done is downloaded it, we cloned it.
Right. We cloned it, and therefore it's a Git repository.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. And then we set all this. We don't have to do anything unless we change it. So we can just go ahead and push to the remote.
That is true, because the changes that we make are we can do that.
Push Heroku, and then we're pushing the master branch.
Yeah, we don't have to do any shit. I'm a genius.
No. There we go.
All right.
Now it should work. Reload.
Invalid redirect. Oh yeah, that's right.
So here, we only have the redirect URI for our development environment, but we should just add for the new site.
Yes.
Oops. And it's also callback because it's the same server, it's just in another place.
Yep.
So it has function support for everything.
Yeah.
And now... Wait.
No. It won't work.
Wait. This login.
Yes. Exactly. The backend in production /login. But you know, it don't work.
No,
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Yes.
Because you didn't scroll to the bottom, man.
Because I didn't save the changes.
And they had put that at the end. It's such a horrible UI.
Done. Spotify. Worst coders ever.
I used to work at Spotify.
Yes. It just sent me here with access token because I had already approved.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I sign out from Spotify.
Yeah.
Sign out.
Cool. Did that sign you out though? Let's see.
Login. Yes.
Oh yeah, it did.
Log into Spotify with Facebook. And I was already, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have the access token stuff here. So I guess
we are ready for the next episode.
so. In the next episode, we're gonna fix this stuff. We're gonna use the Spotify sign-in thing and just fetch all the data from Spotify for the user that is signed in.
I know it's frustrating that there was not a lot of work going on in this episode. We're just setting up this flow that is pretty hard to grasp once you do it for the first time. But trust me that the next episode is going to be awesome, because now we have full access to the Spotify API. So follow us in the next episode, where we are going to replace all our fake data with actual bona fide Spotify data from your Spotify account.
I hope I don't have any embarrassing playlists.
Yes. So click here.
There.
Continue.